So if I shoot it correctly, I now get desert powered multi-ball. This is from part 2.
This rumble motor is amazing.
Well, we're only on like a third of the volume. So, but as you can see, it's vibrating the whole room.
Yeah. God, I love this. Hey everybody, Adam Savage in my cave with some pinball madness. David, how are you, sir?
Hi, how you doing?
Now, David was here a couple of years ago from Barrels of Fun with an amazing Labyrinth pinball game. We will include the links to those videos in the description. You have been teasing this for a while, but
yes.
This is, tell me what this beautiful thing is.
I mean, this is what we call a perfect partnership between Barrels of Fun and Legendary Entertainment.
Really?
Yes, it was one of those things of when we got together, talking about different IPs, it was like, the world of Denny created.
Yeah.
It was one of those things of we needed to capture that in a pinball form.
Now, I would imagine that sometimes when you're dealing with different clients, you may have vastly different ideas about how to exploit the franchise within a game format. This is not the case in this one.
No, so when we approach a pinball machine, it's always IP first.
Right.
So we will come up with ideas and concepts. We'll go to the licensor and go, these are the ideas that we have. We want to create an extension of that world. It doesn't necessarily need to be that movie.
Right.
It has to be in parallel to this. So our whole pitch to this was, you are a part of the Fremen. You are a freedom fighter.
This is the frame for this game, is that the player is a Fremen. Oh.
So during the day, you are fighting, you're destroying harvesters in the back, and you're killing Harkonnen. And at nighttime, because there's a day and nighttime cycle, when you go into the night, you start going into the prophecies where you see Paul Atreides ascend to his position.
Oh
on
my
Arrakis.
goodness. I'm going to dial into a bit of specificity, but like, I'm just curious. This is such a beautiful illustration, but it's not just an illustration. It feels like it harkens to the early days of pinball.
Correct.
And the way that pinball interprets franchises. Are you really doing that in the graphics?
Yes. I mean, we're always inspired by history of what pinball is. There's the nostalgia that we grow to and that we loved. So when it comes to this pinball machine, and it's Jonathan who did the art package for the whole game, was, first of all, our biggest concern is it's just going to be all sand, because that's what Arrakis is, right?
Right. But how do you break that up? Okay, so you start with the challenges that you know are going to be there.
Correct. So it's like, what are the most important things? What did you take away from this series?
Right.
What was Denny's vision? And the vision was, he's very visual, like all his films.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, he uses a lot of blues and reds and black and white. So how are we going to do that? And a lot of that movie was night and day cycles and premonitions.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so what we're going to do, like throughout the whole cabinet, we have a night side. So this whole left side is all blues and nights all throughout. Right? And again, like the back glass, you have our main character, and then you have the enemy and his family and everything else coming out from that. And then on the right-hand side, it's the daytime. It's all orange. So the whole playfield represents that. So you can see you got your blues and your purples, and you got the orange and yellows on this side. And we wanted to make sure the playfield felt like it had sand on it. So if you look really closely at the inserts, you can see like where if a ball was traveling here, the sand is going along with the ball trail. So we wanted to make sure that it looked like there was real sand on the playfield. A good example is the thumper here, which is a traditional
look, it's sticking out of it.
But it's basically looks like it's actually buried into the sand. And there's the topography, like you can see the landmass we used underneath, like mapping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is all Johnny, the artist. He's just an amazing artist.
Now, I would imagine that the playing field here, the backboard, starts out as just story and structure.
There's no story at all. So we start out with, we have ideas of what we represent. We got to represent the characters. We got to represent the big moments of the series. Like, how are we going to get the player to, we want them to, this is their experience. We want them to feel like they're a part of it. They're seeing Paul come to power and they're cheering on for him. So there's modes, for example, called Ride, where you actually get the moment where you got to set the thumper. But you've got to find the right spot, because in part 2, you see him going to the bottom and he's feeling it, and there's there's not enough echo.
Right.
So he moves down a little bit further. So in that mode, particularly, you got to go to the top of the mountain, right? And then it's not there. Then he's got to go down to a lower part of the mountain, and it's not there. Then he's got to shoot the scoop, and then you hear the vibration.
Oh my goodness!
And then we've got a thumper bumper. So you have to now that you've found the right spot, you have to shoot this underneath here to cause that to fire off. So now the worm is coming. So now you got to choose. Do you want to ride it or do you want to just collect the jackpot?
Oh my gosh.
And then you
can ride the worm.
You can ride the worm will eat the ball, you can bash the worm. You haven't seen anything yet.
I'm curious if in your dealings with the studio, with Legendary and Denise people, if they gave you stuff you didn't expect, if they contributed stuff that
100%.
like, augmented.
100%. They were like, actually one of a good example is when we were doing the video assets, the animations, we actually put clouds in the background because we want motion.
Yeah.
And like the first note was like, no, Denny, there's no water in the sky because Arrakis is void of water.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay, we can take that out. But there were things like we had to add, like we obviously had to have the transportation ship.
Right,
we had to
right.
have, all little characters that we needed. Like, I mean, come on. We had to.
Oh, yes.
We have the pain box, which is in here, which is actually...
You have a pain box.
We have a pain box. So if you're doing really, really bad, you have an opportunity to save your bowl. The problem is, what happens, what do you do with a pain box? You put your hand in it, right?
Yeah.
So you have to play the game one-handed.
Oh!
You have to hold your finger down on
this. That's the pain box.
So you have to hold that while you use your flippers to do that.
That's incredible. I know you guys have a ton of institutional knowledge of bringing games to new heights. I'm curious where you guys pushed your envelope on this game.
It's what our code name William.
Okay. William is the code name.
William is the code name. So when we were developing this game, we had to do it in high secrecy, right? The pinball fanatics will try any way to find out what you're working on.
And any hint at all, they will figure it out.
We couldn't say Shah-Halud. So William, who is the worm in Labyrinth, his name is William. So we decided to call Shah-Halud William. So we always talked about William in the game.
Yeah.
Now this mech, which you will see shortly, it can suck the ball down. So for example, so when you destroy the harvester, which actually this articulates. So when you blow that up, you collect the bodies up. So remember in part 2, they got the bodies to hide them? So you collect the bodies. Nice. And you shoot up here.
Yeah.
And it will grab the ball and pull it down, and that's how you collect the bodies.
What?
So the ball will go into a subway and feed back out here.
No!
So that's...
Sorry, I don't mean to be yelling all the time.
So basically, once you've done the harvester, then you can ride the worm, which is basically you have to plant your hooks into the worm. You got to climb on top of it, and that ball, that whole mechanism will come all the way up to the top here, as you ride the worm and then release it out.
Oh my gosh! So is that a brand new mechanism for you guys?
Yeah. So with pinball, you're always inspired by past pinball machines.
Right.
So there are always other games out there there are games that have balls get sucked into it.
Gotcha.
Stern has done something. William has done that, but they've never. And then there's other things that lift the ball up. And it was just like,
what's the next iteration?
We needed to do all of it.
It sounds like you're standing on the shoulders of giants. Right? The long history of pinball and all the different iterations of cool things you can do within the gameplay, and you guys are, it's just like you're moving forward incrementally with every game.
It's like storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, all the stories have been told, but how we were going to retell it,
Yeah.
right? When I watched movies, I was inspired to become a filmmaker, right? When I played pinball when I was 12 years old and I shot that Death Star for the first time, I was Luke Skywalker, right? And yes, that was me connecting to my favorite IPs, but it was a mechanical satisfaction.
I really love you talked about the color of the art. I also think that the colors you guys chose for the lighting is really subtle and beautiful.
So there's a light system that's pretty traditional in pinball machine. Well, it's become more modern in pinball, where like Pin Stadium. So they would put lights outside on the playfield, so it would light up the playfield.
Right.
So what we did is but the problem with that is you have to remove those to take the playfield out, like to work on it. It's quite problematic. So it's like, well, first of all, I want to represent night and day, but I also want to give more light to the game because on Labyrinth, it's a very dark game.
Yeah.
And that's one of the comments we heard. So it's like, well, what can we do to make it a better experience? So traditionally, there's a piece of glass that goes in here, and it's in a plastic channel.
Yeah.
So what we did is we milled out about an inch below it, and then we put a rail of LEDs down the side.
Look at that.
So we had that all custom made for us. But now what this allows us to do, we call it a horizon lighting system. Now we can basically engulf the whole playfield with light. So when you're playing this game, during the day you can collect spice by hitting the spinners on this game, right? And at night you can collect water. Every time you hit that will progress you through the day, while you're battling the harvesters and like doing your day activities. But when you get to night, now that helps you transition into night. Then you can follow Paul's ascension to what he needs to become.
Now, when you brought us the Labyrinth game, you said that the back screen was a relatively new development for you guys. I'm curious if you learned anything on the Labyrinth screen that you put into the Dune.
So there are things that a lot of people, they loved the screen back there, but they wanted more interactivity.
Sure, yeah, they did.
So we took it another step here, and I will show you. So basically, when you're attacking the harvester, what is the one thing surrounding the harvester when you're going to attack in part 2?
Oh, the ornithopters.
Ornithopters, right? If it's on the left side, you have to shoot it from this side. But if it moves to this side, you got to shoot it from here.
Oh.
And as the ball goes around, it would actually destroy it on the screen.
It's also continually amazing to me how narratives are narratives. And when you build a good one, people get emotionally involved. And I don't think that your average layperson thinks of pinball as a game that involves emotional storytelling, but it seriously does.
Oh, 100%. I mean, a good example of one of the big moments in part 1 is the pain box, right? So we had to have a way, like you said, we got to get you to hit the pain box.
So great.
But how do we get it there? She puts the needle, right? So this is what this hook is.
That's the Gom Jabbar?
Gom Jabbar. So when you shoot it, this always goes down. But when it's triggered, the ball will get trapped behind it. She'll say, come here. And she'll kick the ball back out, and it will go into a physical lock here, and then this will come out.
Oh, and that's when you press this.
And that's
and
when
play.
you have to hold it and play it.
Wow.
And again, it's all about the immersion of how do we get the people that love this series to connect to it. Now, we have to make a good playing pinball machine so the pinball fans can love it. It's something that we learned with Labyrinth. Not a lot of people were excited about Labyrinth, but when they played it, they're like, wow, this is a good playing game. Yeah. But then they got connected to the story, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, this is like, now the movie makes sense. Yeah. So we actually created more fans of the movie Labyrinth through pinball people. At first, it's like, again, it's an old movie, right? Yeah. But like, people rediscovered it again.
I will tell you that, I mean, the tested, people who come through tested are a self-selected group of, they love Labyrinth. Right? Like, everyone knows Labyrinth, everyone loves it, but everyone who got to play the game, like, really loved the way in which it helped them engage back with the movie. Yeah.
It's like, you gotta connect those emotions. I mean, that's all nostalgia is, right? Like, when you think about you're making your toys and props here, you're connecting to your inner childhood of your memories, right? And that's what I'm trying to do here with pinball. I want people to connect to their IPs in a physical world, so it's like you're in the movie itself.
So I want to play. I want you to know that our producer, Joey Fameli, went down to Barrels of Fun, shot some interviews, pieces of the machines in progress, being manufactured. Let's take a look at some of that footage.
So when we started with Labyrinth, that game was designed in a dining room. That wasn't designed for a production line. I hired better people than me to figure out how to put that through their production line, but I did not design that game with thought of the actual manufacturing process. Going from 2 people to now over 30 people at this facility, it's one of those things of, with the design of game 2, a lot more thought about, yes, we still had the blue sky and how we're gonna put everything together and how we're gonna make this the ultimate experience in the Dune universe. It was like, but how are the people on the line going to put this together? Because you can come up with some really cool stuff, but you want to make sure that you're making the people on the lines life easy. Each station has a time frame when you need to get stuff done, ideally, and you try to get that as efficient as possible. That is something that really informed me when I saw what everyone went through to build Labyrinth and the time it took to do that.
So now we're heading out to our first cell, which is going to be play fields, prepping all the play fields. We check them here to make sure everything is, all the printing is lined up, all the...
So yeah, we checked them with a light box so that we could see that all of the clear plastic inserts look good as the through the play field. At the same stage, they'll analyze all the artwork too to make sure that all the color layers align properly and you get good registration between the artwork and the cutouts in the playfield holes.
We come over here. This is our first operation. We put in all of our T-nuts in here. Anything that needs to be pressed in will happen here. After this, it will go into this fixture to mount the rails. So here we are putting this into a rotisserie after that. Just slides in here. lock it down. And now it heads over to the first station. This will allow everybody to work on the part all the way around. So if you need to flip it over, you don't have to drag it around. You just flip it.
Yep. Same idea as an engine rotisserie, right?
Yep. All these mechs that are here at Station 1, if you look here, all of this and that gets put on in the first station. They have about 40 minutes to do this per station. So they'll put everything from the bottom side on this thing. Once it's done, it moves to the second station where they put up all the top plastics and stuff that goes on top. Then it gets flipped upside down. They put all the lights on and all the jumpers for the lights. Then it goes into wiring. Here, they put the worm on. They put in all the harnesses. Once the harnesses are all in, they'll move over to the final testing here.
So this has a full facsimile of the electronics that go into the pinball machine, so he can use the same switch and lights testing systems that the customers use at this station to diagnose any problems with it.
We are teaching people skills that are not normal life skills. Less than every 12 months, there's a whole new pinball machine going down the line. And I equate this to filmmaking. Like every time you start a new film project, it's completely different beast. Like, yeah, you have pre-production, production, and post-production, but because of the nature of whatever that story is, it's completely different process. And I will relate this to when I would be cutting a film or a TV show. It's like I would sit down, go to edit, to do the post work, and I would always tell my wife, how do I do this? Like this is like, because none of it makes sense. And then she goes, you've been doing this for 25 years, just do it. And like, it is literally like, you just put everything in front of you and you just make it happen. When I was learning how to do pinball stuff, I was learning it from an old designer that did a lot of white foam core mock-ups. And then through my other times, it was using Illustrator. So we weren't using any industrial software like SolidWorks or Fusion. When I started this company, Labyrinth was all done in Illustrator and foam core and just making stuff work, right? Make it, flip it, see how it feels. If you don't like it, change it and keep moving. So I realized we spent so much time doing the build up that it wasn't really that efficient to do it. And I kept hearing about SolidWorks and how you can get a lot of you can figure out a lot of the problems that we were discovering in like 4 whitewoods. You could see that immediately in your first SolidWorks drawing. So I made a conscious effort, like we need to move everything in Labyrinth into SolidWorks because that should be the foundation of moving forward, because you only have a certain amount of time with a license. So you want to be as efficient as possible so you can get the maximum amount of time of that game being on the market. And typically a game will take 18 months to develop, if you're lucky. So I made a very conscious effort that I hired mechanical engineers that had SolidWorks background, because that is like, here is our idea, here's the drawing, like just concept art and just put that into a 3D space. So I found that by doing the SolidWorks with the whitewoods was a really good balance, that we could eliminate probably 2 or 3 whitewood additions just because we're doing SolidWorks. You can see the different tolerances on everything. However, what I did see happen throughout the process, one of our mechanical engineers like, it's perfect in SolidWorks, it's fine in SolidWorks. And it's like, so we don't need to shoot it. I said, no, let's cut a whitewood. Why? It's like, we're good, let's keep making some more tweaks because we're constantly tweaking. It's like, let's just make a whitewood version of this. And then you put it together and all of a sudden you see something that SolidWorks didn't. Like, SolidWorks kind of takes out of, like, you don't have to have so much gut feel, you can see how it's going to work. But then there's that level of, you need to take it out of SolidWorks to get that whitewood going, to get that gut feel. Like, I don't design with rules. It's like, it's literally, is it fun to shoot? You get on that whitewood and you shoot it. And if it feels good, leave it, then move on to something else.
All right, this is a lineup of progression of what we call whitewoods in the pinball industry, which is a playfield with no artwork on it. So the birch plywood is still white. But you can see in the early prototypes, we did a lot of 3D printing to try and get the shapes and sizes right. We cut the piece of wood off of our SolidWorks model that we've created to lay out all the shots and where the mechanisms and ramps and things go. And we take that program out to our router and route all the holes. And we even route grooves into the playfield to show us where we want to lay out our ball guides. And we can bend the ball guides by hand in some cases to make this playfield shoot. And we see what we want to adjust. And between each whitewood, we have things that went well, things that didn't go well, things that we want to change. So, you can see in this one, we 3D printed a full ramp assembly out of plastic. On this one, we had a vacuum form ramp that we then stole and used on another whitewood, but it's missing in that version. We also use it for, just volumetric things like showing how a given sculpture might look on the playfield. So it's really convenient to be able to 3D print all of these shapes as we go along, instead of waiting on a final metal or plastic part to come from one of our vendors. Specifically in this playfield, we weren't happy with how small the zone was where our magnet goes. We wanted to also fit in a 3-bank drop target instead of a 2-bank drop target. So you can see that slot is a lot wider in this one. We've got space for 3 targets there. We also abandoned the idea of a ramp there and made it a pass-through shot. So it's a very different idea in that particular area of the playfield from this whitewood to this whitewood. And then the final whitewood, before we put art on it, this is a fully clear coated. It has all of the plastic inserts that the lights shine through to show you where the shots are. And we learned a lot in this particular whitewood too, like we needed to adjust that flap for that insert. And there's a number of other small tweaks about where the targets were placed relative to the ball guides and things like that, that we modified before going to the final version with art. Yeah, I think like in any product design, iteration is the key to a good final product. We show 4 examples here of how we iterated to finally achieve the desired play that we wanted to have in our game Dune. All right, this is the feature mechanism in the Dune pinball machine. Paul designed this one. It has a couple of linear rail motors, so it's got a stepper motor on a linear, basically an Acme screw type ball guide with a ball screw in that block. And that moves a mouth for the mechanism independently from the body. So as it rises out of the playfield, the mouth can either go with it or stay behind. And it has lots of functions. So this mechanism can raise the ball above the playfield. It can eat the ball and have it roll out into a subway and then get kicked out back to the player. It's got a magnet embedded in it to basically be able to grab the ball. You can pulse the magnet to whip the ball around and do a lot of fun dynamic things with that. This mechanism, that's one of its other fun functions, is if we move the worm body up part way, there's an optical sensor on the playfield in front of the mechanism that allows us to detect it when if you shoot a ball and hit the side of the sculpture, we can detect that hit, and so the player gets feedback as if they were actually throwing their maker hook and clamping on to one of the Shaihu's scales and pulling it to turn the worm. So it's a multifaceted mechanism for sure.
Right now in that mech, it actually rotates as it comes up, and there's a reason. We did it because we thought, oh, that would be really cool to see it rotating. Like that's kind of very cinematic. But at the same time, we had a problem, which was we needed the ball because the game sits on an angle. So everything you design has to fall forward. So if you have a ball inside a thing, how are you going to get it out of the worm? It has to come out the front of it. So we had to have a hole. So when it but you can't have the hole go straight up because then you see the hole in the worm and that destroys the illusion. So we had to do this whole rotating part of the mech to hide the hole. So you got the cinematic moving of the worm coming up, but in reality, it's actually hiding the magic trick of what it's doing.
This is our small print farm. We have 4 Bamboo Lab P1S machines. We print a variety of things on them. One really common one is the speaker lighting rings. So we have LEDs that inserted in this ring, and it diffuses the light really nicely for our speaker lighting. Print holders for things like optical sensors. These are parts specifically made for the worm mech in Dune, and we even print entire mechanisms. So this is a toy that lives in the apron of the machine, and it's this little servo-driven mechanism where both the pinion gear, the rack gear, and the housing are all 3D printed, and we use that to represent when a mode is starting in the pinball machine. This is a guide for one of our mechanisms in the playfield that helps us keep things aligned. And this one even receives a ball in the apron lock area. Our go-to has been ABS. We do like polycarbonate, but you have to use our better printer to print out polycarbonate to get the heated chamber so that it doesn't warp. But ABS has been really good for us. It's very temperature resilient. A pinball machine, when you ship it to Australia, can be in a container that it gets to 120 degrees, and some of the less expensive materials like PLA, well, it's great for most applications. In hot conditions, it's not the best, so that's why we like to use ABS on our parts.
How can we take Arrakis and put it under that planet? Like, but how do we connect people to that planet? You could be playing just as Paul, you know, that's probably a very traditional way of doing it. But we wanted you to be a partaker in that universe and see his ascension to who he was going to be. So the whole concept of Dune Pinball was you are a part of the Fremen and you are experiencing him becoming who he needs to be, but also partaking in being part of the Fremen and attacking harvesters and, you know, defending your own country, your own world. Dune Pinball is your opportunity to see Paul become who he is meant to be.
All right.
So do you want to do 1 player or 2 player?
Let's do 2 player.
There you go. All right. So right now the sun is rising, as you can see over here. It's nighttime. So as soon as you plunge, what you want to do is get the ball into the scoop, and then you're going to go after the harvester. And I will help you.
That's
through
the
it.
scoop.
That's the scoop
All
right
right.
there. All right.
Out.
Oh, I got the tilt too tight.
I dismantled them. Oh!
I must go.
All right, my turn
I am
now.
terrible at this game.
All right. Let's get the ball to settle down. Let's see if I can get the scoop. Almost.
Oh!
All right, there we go. So now I've got to go after the harvester. So you can see the orthocopter is out the back. On the
Yes.
LCD. So now I got to get the shot up that ladder to get it.
And you only have the 2 paddles.
Correct. And I lost it. This is why we have to look at the glass off.
Wires that I pierce.
There we go. Okay, so I can shoot the helicopter and the harkenners. So you'll see the helicopter come down. Alright.
Nice catch.
Come on.
Oh!
Alright. There you go.
Oh, yeah, I said.
That's alright, ball's coming back, ball's
Oh.
coming back. Ah, you're getting some skills.
Oh.
Ball 1 locked. Ball 2 locked. Oh. Ah.
Wires that I pierce.
So you almost had Desert Power multi-ball. So you can shoot for the harvester, or you can actually shoot into the mosh pit here, and then you'll actually be able to ride the worm as well.
Woo!
Almost in there. So now it's actually in night time. So now I can actually do a prophecy for Paul. If I can get it under control.
right.
So you can hit it directly, but there's another
Yeah.
way to get it in the scoop. You can actually shoot it past the skinner,
Yeah.
under the sand dune, into the back.
Oh!
So let's see
okay.
if I can do that. I did. There
Oh,
you go.
nice!
So now I get to spar with Gurney.
With multi-ball.
Correct. And that will come back. So the idea is you're meant to capture the ball,
Yeah.
and then I can now concentrate my training by hitting the shield.
Oh, wow.
And I'm doing a terrible job at it.
Guess I'm not in the mood today.
No, you're not in the mood, Paul. Alright. There, okay.
I must go.
I like that that you get to hear Stilgar's voice every time.
Well, he's kind of your leader, you know.
Amazing.
He's the true believer.
No, no.
That's right, it's coming back. Coming back. Come on.
No.
Alright. Alright, Adam.
I must go.
On this ball,
All right.
all I want you to do is focus on
Getting up in there?
Hit it up in the middle.
All right.
No pressure.
I was giving it a good
You're
shot.
giving it a good shot.
Orders that I be elsewhere.
So you see the Omnicopter's going back
Yeah,
and
yeah.
forth on the
Yeah.
LCD.
And you want to shoot the one on the left side.
So you see it's flashing there, and
Yeah.
then when he moves to the right, he's on the side. So now, if I hit my shot, well, he's over that side. So if I go up there, you see it explode on the screen.
Nice.
So the next thing is I kill. So again, when you see the Harkonnen symbol,
Yeah.
that's a soldier. I've killed him. So now my shot is right up in the middle into the harvester. So if you watch the harvester, if I can make the shot. So you see the laser beam going up to
Yes,
it.
yes.
And
Oh.
now the explosion, it'll explode again and the little back of it falls open.
Oh, that's fabulous.
But now I have to sacrifice the soldiers that I've already killed. So straight up to the middle.
Oh, there's the. Oh. Ooh.
So it matches the animation on the display of the worm coming up, sacrificing.
Oh, that
the
is
jackpot.
so cool.
So that's stage one of the mech itself. So the next thing I can do, if I
I must go.
don't catch the ball quick enough, we're in day. As you can see up top on the display,
Yep.
that's the
Ah,
sun that
gotcha.
transitions. So if
Right,
I hit
right.
a spinner, you'll see it transition.
Yep,
And
yep.
now it's nighttime, so it's all
Amazing.
gone blue.
Gotcha.
So train is ready to go. So if I wanted to change my modes, because
Yeah.
you've got train, survive, ride, rescue, I just shoot the orbit. So now it's awakened.
And these are all pressure sensitive.
correct.
Okay.
So now this is on ride. So I will start ride. So this is the great moment of
Direct. Shai-Hulud decides to let you become driven.
correct.
If you die.
Or if you die. So now I have to hit the ramp.
Yep.
So you can see on the display, he's thumping it to find
Yep,
out if it's
yep.
the right spot. It's not. So now he has to go find another spot, which is right there. Not the right spot. Next one, he shoots the scoop. So now he's setting the timer. So now I obviously hit the hot bumper. So now I'm setting my thumper.
Right, right.
I go to the top. So now I've got my hooks ready.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I've got to choose, do I want to take my score or take it? And as you can see, as
Yeah,
it
the
pumps,
thumper's going.
you see it's calling the worm.
Wow.
So I'm going to hit
I
that.
love the way the lighting is helping tell that story. Ah!
So now I'm going to ride the worm.
Oh my gosh!
But now I have to hit the worm twice because now I'm falling down on top of the worm. So
Right.
once. So two. So now I've got to hit the outer orbit.
Wow.
Extending hook. Now I hit the upper ramp. Now that's going to empty out. You're going to see the ball come. Our shade comes all the way up.
Oh my gosh. And this is a multi-ball?
Nope, this is where I get my jackpot by hitting the upper ramp. And everybody celebrates my riding the worm. 'Cause, Paul has done it.
that's
He's the
awesome.
belief. He is the win. He is the man. And that is the end of that mode. So now we transition back into day.
It is there's a lot of bombast in this game.
Oh yeah. So now actually paint box is lit. So if this ball would accidentally drain out,
Yep.
goes out.
There it goes in the pan. The paint box is up.
paint box is out. So now I'm gonna let you do this.
Oh!
So you have to hold your hand down. You cannot
All right.
remove it if you die, but you got to use the flipper back and forth. So hold your hand down, the ball will come out.
Oh, and I gotta use both of these.
gotta use
Oh
both.
my god. Oh shit.
Here it comes. You got it. You got one shot to make, and it's the right ramp. Left ramp, sorry.
Ah, shoot. I died.
You are unworthy.
I am unworthy.
Unworthy. All right, so we're gonna open up the playfield. So this playfield actually is much heavier than Labyrinth is, and you'll see why
Oh
when
my
you see
gosh.
William underneath it.
Wow.
So that's William down there. So he runs on 2 stepper motors. So you've got the magnet core on the middle that runs independently from the body. So as you can see right here, there's a hole where the ball comes out.
Yep.
But we have to rotate that out for the magic trick upstairs so you don't see it. So the actual worm, when it rises up, actually rotates around. So it gives it another kind of more cinematic moment as the worm rises up. He actually has its own board. So we run 4 magnets off of this, 4 flashes off of this one board just to drive this one mech.
You must run into situations where you add some new feature and there's just some bit of RF interference that throws something else cattywampus until you figure out why.
And these games have to pass CE testing. Right. So we have to take a prototype, take it to a lab, put it into their booths and test everything.
Amazing.
So that comes from PC. I mean, they do power tests. They put like, I don't know how many voltage, I'm not an electrical engineer, but they put so much voltage into these games. Actually, our games have held up really well, but they will blow them up. The whole point is it's catastrophic failure.
Right.
But yeah, like, I mean, we had to create new optos for this. Obviously the optos exist, but we had to do reflective optos.
When you
to
say
help do
opto,
it.
you mean opto isolators?
So optos seeing the ball on the playfield itself. So for example, on opto you have the receiver and emitter, okay? And a good example of that is on the wireform here. You see it, a receiver.
Ah, gotcha, right.
Right, so you can see when the ball goes through. It triggered that off. But on this side, we need to know if a ball is on this switch here.
Right.
But the only way to do that is we can't have 2 optos because it's right up against the side of the playfield.
Right.
So we have a reflective opto. So it bounces off the wall and it sees, okay, it can see itself. But when a ball goes in there, it breaks the line of sight, and we had to do that. So we had to do a lot of our own little optos to help fit everything onto this playfield.
Wow. And I mean, everything that interacts is also some kind of switch or sensor.
Yep. So anytime you stop the ball somewhere, so for example, if the ball stops here, we need to know if that's the case because the logic of the computer itself, we need to know where the ball is at all times. So anytime it stops, so like it stops up here, there's a post up here, there's an opto in here, there's an opto on the entry ramp, there's an opto on the exit. Like we got to have optos pretty much everywhere. We got an opto in front of the William Mac, we have optos on the front of the ramp, we have an opto inside here to say if the ball gets stuck in there. Like all these little things help us tell the story, but also make sure the logic of the game code can keep track of where everything is at one time.
And the machine knows where everything is at all times.
And we've got optos behind the drop target, that way we can tell if there's a ball behind it.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
Amazing. So I want to say, I think the lighting is really, really special and spectacular here. And I'm curious about your process of refining that, because you start out with a palette, but those aren't your final colors. As you play and as you guys develop the game,
It's about emotion. Like everyone, like there's technical aspect of it, but you know, when it comes to editing, I was an editor in my past life. I still do it today, but it's one of those things of there's a technical side of it. But if I don't feel it in my gut, it's wrong.
Right.
So when I tell my technical people, how does it feel? I don't want the technical answer, but how does it feel? And if it feels like it's a part of the moment, then it deserves to be there. I mean, honestly, that's how I kind of live my life. Does it feel like it belongs there? Does it feel right? Like anyone from 12 years old to an old person could come up to this game, and by ball 3, I want them to go, I want to do that again. I don't want to overcomplicate. I want this to be an experience. So, and a lot of the parts ourselves, like a lot of companies use standard parts, but we've actually re-engineered a lot of our own parts.
David, last question. You spend so much time in the development process with your whole team and all of the employees. I am curious, obviously releasing one of these is like letting one of your kids out into the world, but I am curious if you learn things about the games from the customers after they're released.
I mean, there are so many things in this game that are purely from feedback from our customers. Wow. So, I mean, I'm not promising you I'm going to do this, but on Labyrinth, I called the first 100 customers up personally just to find out what their experience was.
Amazing.
And I learned so much. Some of them I didn't want, you don't want to hear the worst.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to surround myself with people that are going to just be nice to me.
Right.
I can't get better unless I'm told what I can do better. And this game, in its form, I never thought I would be managing. Yes, I started a pinball company with my partner, but I didn't think I would be running 30 plus people, like directly hired, running a line. Like I've done film production where I'm running 100 people, but that's only like 16 days.
Right.
But I've been doing it for 18 months, and the sheer amount, I think my downfall is I totally underestimated the day-to-day operations dealing with these personalities.
Oh, sure.
But it is such an honor to work and see these people grow and be passionate. Like I got people come on the line and go, "Hey David, have you thought about this?" And it was brilliant.
Right.
And they're not an electrical engineer or mechanical engineer or some high thing. They're just someone that just wants to put pinball machines together. They love it and they come up with an idea.
And that's 1 + 1 = 1,000,000.
Oh, 100%.
You must be so excited for your child to go out into the world.
This is number 2.
This is number 2?
I am so proud. Like when I was unboxing this morning, this is the first time I've seen the game out in the wild. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it.
Amazing.
And just to be back here, I know how much you love the Dune series.
Obsessed.
It's like, this is like homecoming for us. And I really appreciate you inviting us back and show you our passion for this stuff.
It's got everything that we love,
this shouldn't
man.
exist. It really shouldn't exist.
It's just got everything that we love. It's beautiful, it's fun, it's involving, it's engaging, it's a story. Thank you so much for making it and bringing it here to show us, man. Just incredible.